Hello, and welcome to another episode of Empyrean Galactic Survival, where we look at the top 10, well, my top 10, recommended core BPs of the game. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, or if you're not familiar with core blueprints, these are blueprints that are installed by default. You don't need to go to the Steam Workshop, you don't need to do anything, they're here for you already. Now, I have picked a couple of them in various categories. And I'm going to start with the smallest and the utilities. So this one is the Polaris Scout. It is a level... Where are you? Polaris Scout. It is a T1, which means that it doesn't require any bridges or matrices to bring in. Matrices... yeah. Shush. And it's a little Scout SV, and it's very cheap. It's very cheap. 204 carbon, 158 copper ingots, and 116 silicon, and 58 iron ingots. Very, very cheap. It's level 7, and it's just a great way to get around, and if you encounter some drones, this has the firepower to deal with them. Now, next we have the FA05 for a Sandhawk. And in here, this is what it is. T2 Assault Fighter. Again, resources. Very, very cheap. CPU class T2, which is just a single extender. So if you go into the core systems here, you have your core, a T2 extender, and then that's it. Now, this one comes with a warp drive, which you will need to get off the starter planet and to use to get the Neo that you need to build the Neodymium, whatever you need, the Zescosium, the Arrestrium you need to make an actual capital vessel and get off the starter and get out of the starter systems and move your base off the starter planet. Now, the reason I recommend this one is because it's got a warp drive, very fancy little build, not too much fluff, and it also has some upgrades. It also has room for upgrades, such as a shield behind the cockpit. That would be... Maybe I'm not thinking of this one. I know this one has room for upgrade for a shield somewhere. Let me look for it real quick. Huh, doesn't have room for a shield. Interesting. Oh well, you can dig in. You can just slap a shield on the front if you really want to. Yeah, I would highly recommend putting a shield on this thing because it'll save you having to repair it. And Vermilion, please update this so it has room for a shield. Come on, man. Anyways, recommend that. Alternatively, you could go for this, which also has, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, smart grouping, people. I'll just search. This one does not have a warp drive. So, alternatively, you can go for this. But this is a POI buster. That's an exploration one. This is a POI buster. This one will be able to let you take... this one will let you take on POIs. It's got some rockets, some GATs, and upgrade space for a shield here. This is what I was thinking of. And I really highly recommend putting a shield in here because it will save you from having a bad day. And you can get to it. Well, you can put the you can get to it. There's some internal area for some utilities that you can access there. And this thing will do you right once you install the shield. These two are little miners. These are just little miners. These are literally just throwaway miners that you can spawn in. I've got mechanical drills to keep the unlock level down. You have room. You have some upgrade room. Again, they're just T2, and I recommend them for like mining deposits. And you can just carry this thing around, or just pick it up and respawn it as needed. Next, we have the ZeroG Timberwolf. This thing is in your HE list, as were the previous two, and very cheap. Allow you to harvest trees and process the trees as you go with a little constructor here. A little constructor there. So, good little tree chopper. Good little miners. Highly recommend these. Oh, right. Where these things are in the library. Under HVs. They are up here. Ascalon Reaper LS and XL. Now, XL, by that time, you've probably got a better miner. Or something. You've got something else that you want to use. Now, LS version here, I use regularly. I use this regularly. I use a slightly modified variant that's got some more container extensions and maybe a different color scheme. I bet you guys can guess what color scheme it is. Black and bright, shiny, glowy. But yeah, I use these regularly. Next, we have the little starter base, Polaris Module B. The reason I recommend this is because you've got landing room for a little SV, so it'll dock, and so that any drones that attack can't damage it because it's docked to something. Got some defenses up there. You have little room for your crop plots. Very minimalistic layout, so not wasting too many resources. Got a little ammo box. Got some boxes for your bits and bobs. Medical. Food fridge. A bed and a shower, as well as a large constructor, a generator, and some other doors to get in and out of. So yeah, armor locker does not, and a little wireless extender. Very, very smart little build. Good job, Vermilion. And then the final ground base is the Azure Outpost. And yes, I'm flipping my camera around like madman because I'm trying to get this done quickly. So you have a 263K, yes it says 250 there, storage container to put all your goods in. You have your medical, you have just a basic medical, food production, and fridge. You have a little grow plot light for these 3 blocks, which can be picked up. These 3 can be picked up. They're just carbon blocks. Toss them back in the factory. You have another container controller with 320K. You have a little small constructor, doors on either side, armor locker, way in on either side, a little bed, shower to get rid of all that pesky radiation, or if you want to lower your body temperature or raise it, depending on if you're cold or too cold or too hot. And then it's made out of solar with generator backup. You have 3 turrets here that are placed away from the main base so that they don't damage your power systems. You have another container controller. And you have your little ammo controller here at the end too. So you don't need a container controller for ammo when it's just a little base, and you just put some bullets in it. Underneath the solar panel, you have your larger constructor. So you can have this one chucking out. You can have this one chucking out something while the smaller one works on something else. Powered by solar, and I would highly recommend that you move these solar panels so that they're facing the sun. You can just pick them up, have them face the sun. Very, very simple. Every block counts for a use. Every block has a use. You have like steel blocks to prevent the container controllers from taking damage when those blow. Just a little bit of fluff blocks here to keep stray fire from taking on the fuel tank, and if the fuel tank goes, there's a backup on the other side. Same with the solar chargers and the solar power. If one side goes, so what? You still have some more solar there. It's not going to chain react or damage itself, and it's going to require, let's take a look at the requirements. So requirements are pretty freaking cheap. Let's compare that to the Polaris module. Actually cheaper than the Polaris module in a lot of respects. Of course, not in cobalt and titanium or a little bit of neo, but it's worth the investment. Worth the investment if you want something that's gonna suit you well. Next, we have the Lev A23 Horizon. So a few notes here. This thing's got a pretty smart layout. It's got a warp drive, but it does not have a shield, so keep it away from combat. Now, it kind of makes up for not having a shield by simply having everything spaced out pretty well. Well, I say that, and then I look at the internals, and it's a chain reaction bomb. It's still better than most of the ships in the game, believe me. As long as you keep it out of combat, or if you just want to slap a little generator in the back, or if you want to slap a little shield generator in the back, go for it. Go for it. That's the cool thing about this game. You don't have to keep anything stock. So you have your little medical here upon the entry. You have your warp drive on that side. Some storage for your bits and bobs. Small storage container there. Food fridge. Food fabricator. Got a bed, table. 2 spots for your mates if you want to get off the planet together. And then you have a cockpit. Very simple. Very, very simple. Room for your little HV to park here. And again, remember that once something is docked to a capital vessel or a base, it is a non-entity. It cannot be targeted. It cannot be damaged. And it's good. It's basically not there as far as the NPCs are concerned. Next, we have this. Now, this is something that I have used a couple of times, that you can upgrade the storage, like you put fuel tanks in here, or whatever you want to put in here, container controllers, fuel tanks, whatever. It's got some defenses. It's got a hangar for your SCs, if you're into that type of thing. Sorry, just checking on something real quick. Got a lot of room here that you can gut and turn into whatever you want it, but it's very presentable from the start. And it's a nice little faction base for your buddies when you first get off the starter planet. You've got crop plots on either side. Room for crop plots on either side. Mirrored on the other side. Then you have a control center up here for that little bit of RP. And then you've got another one on that side. But if you go down to the bottom, you have your engineering section with a shield. Just your T3 extenders. You can upgrade that. And then if you go over here and then go up, another little command center. Got a little medical area here. Got your fabrication room back here. Some signal logic. Low power, power save mode. More crop plots. And a lot of these storages about. Very, very smart build. And I highly recommend you use it if you haven't had access to the workshop. But anyways, this is my top 10 blueprints from the core game. And a little heads up, we are going to be adding more to the game. Me as in, like me and some friends of mine, we are going to be adding some more to the game. And hopefully you will get more of a variety. And I will be able to do another top 10 video for these. So I hope you had a good time. Remember to be kind to your fellow human. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.